And with this starts the 12th season of NEF1 action. Hello everyone and welcome to New Era F1 Esports once again for the start of season 12. We are doing 1 day worth of pre-season testing here around both China and Silverstone a bit later on, so that everyone can get a rhythm of this game. What the cars are going to be like, it'll also give us a chance to talk a little bit, find out what is going on, how these cars are going to drive, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to find out about who is where in terms of pace. We're also going to have a look at the new straight mode system, the new ERS modes as well, and see how everyone's using their battery most effectively. We're going to play around a little bit with the telemetry, having that on or off. See what makes the more sense. That's the telemetry in the middle of your screen there that I, for whatever reason, can't seem to turn off. So that's a promising start, as we are still awaiting any cars out here on track. About a minute into the session, no one is in too much of a hurry here to get straight out there. Everyone hard tires enabled. We're going to be seeing runs on the hard tires to begin with, then probably mediums and softs to close out the session. We expect about a 20 lap run on that hard tire, maybe just to start things off here before you go over to the mediums. Have a feel what everything's going to be like with a little more grip on there. I actually can't turn off telemetry here, which is a bit concerning. That's a nice little glitch for you, Codemasters. Please fix it, because I don't want to have that enabled all of the time. It takes up an awful amount of space on the VOD. But it is what it is. We've got 16 people here for free practice today. If I'm not mistaken, every team is represented by at least one driver here. I'm seeing a Red Bull, I'm seeing 2 Ferraris, I'm seeing one of the Audis, seeing one of the Haas's, 1 Alpine, 2 Williams, one Williams, 2 Williams, and 1 Cadillac, 2 Cadillacs actually. I can't count for anything today. No debut for Spenclose here today, unfortunately. We'll have to wait for a little bit until we can see him in action once again. Squidge 2017, though, reigning, sorry, not reigning champion anymore. That was coming off the tongue nice from last season. Now the man who's going to be hoping to become reigning champion once again, currently sitting in that Mercedes down in P11. Reigning champion Tess, I'm sorry, in that Ferrari. No one out on circuit yet. 3 minutes into the session. Is anything going on my end? Some people saying we're having a bug. There's a little beeping going on. Have we got any issues potentially? Because no one's coming out of the pit lane here. iWatts is retired from the session. You would imagine then we're having a couple of issues. Could anyone in session just confirm to me that we have some sort of problem, please? As Mr. Wilco now has left the session. Well, it leaves me yapping for a little bit until we get that confirmation. So apparently I'm gonna go have a look at my Discord real quick. We might have some technical issues here to start the season. That's not too normal, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's bugged out. We are apparently, a couple of people have just loaded into the session. Actually, we're starting to see a couple of people switch tires around. So restart is not going to be necessary then. And Reina, the first car out on circuit this season in that Cadillac. That it looks decent from this angle. It looks worse from this angle, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We can't still get rid of that telemetry, so we're gonna see what everyone is doing as we're with Darren Style on his onboard, coming out of the pit lane. Then same helmet as last season, I believe. Gonna keep track of that as well. Noah 48 in the Aston Martin out on circuit for the first time this season. In that very, very bright green Aston Martin now. It's a visual upgrade from last season. Will be an upgrade in terms of performance, I don't quite know. Can I please get rid of that telemetry? There's No way to get rid of that telemetry, unfortunately. We're going to have to stick with it for the remainder of the session, potentially, unless it just decides to disappear. Here we are with the reigning champion Tess with his red and gold Ferrari helmet. Let's see what he's going to be able to accomplish in that Ferrari throughout this season. Luna in the Haas. One of the best looking cars on the grid. It's going to be fun to see what she's going to be able to do in it. It's been a long time since we had a Haas running up a long time. As we're apparently having issues potentially with Wilco. So a couple of game issues to start off this season. It's not promising. It's good it's only a free practice session and nothing else. The lobby is not going to restart until this session's been completed. However, it will be a full restart afterwards, and then we'll make sure we don't start until everything is set in order for Great Britain practice. Great Britain also a bit more relevant as the first track that we're doing on the season calendar that's been updated. We'll go over that in a little bit here. We're on board with Noah 48 going through the second sector. The car that's from the offboard looks very, very nice indeed. Kit W73 here in his Williams out of Ferrari from last season. And is very, very blue from the onboard with the blue car and blue helmet. It looks quite nice indeed. And rain all black on the side of the car that is all black on the helmet and littered with white. As he says the first lap time of the session so far is 1:38, 1:85. And sort of hard tires on a car that's, you would assume it's quite heavily fueled with that lap time as well. As with Kit's teammate here, Darren Stiles, Ted has completed his first lap of the season. It's a 1:37 flat for Tess. Goes on top of the standings. That's going to be top of the standings at will, I would imagine, for the beginning of this session. As Luna says 1:38 on a set of soft tires, so that can't have been too much of a push that you would imagine. If not, she's got some pace to work on for sure until we get this season started. As Raven goes top of the standings on medium tires, 1:36.08, one is a very, very decent time indeed. As Sarah Halo then in his Ferrari for the first time in this league, in a team that is expected to run at the very front of the pack. As here goes Halo across line, then goes fastest out of anyone with 1:34.140, and now we're seeing that gap beginning to spread. However, that was probably a push lap from Halo on a set of soft tires, 2 seconds quicker than Ray on that medium. Tess about 3 seconds slower than his teammate at the moment, but there's an offset soft to hard tires. Jace, I didn't realize what was going on until about 7 minutes into the session, at what point everyone had already been out on track. It's an evening, so already scheduled to be longer than usual, which is why we had to start up time. So for a practice session, I didn't consider a restart necessary as it's just practice. Had it been Silver's, then we would have restarted that since it's more relevant to what we're actually driving in a bit. But for China, just gonna get this session, session started and flowing. Had I realized a little bit earlier, probably would have been a restart. As Mac is 97, goes very, very deep going into the hairpin there. So a couple of people who have issues with braking on this game. Don't know if it's just that it feels very, very different, because it does, or if there's an actual issue with it. I know Tess hasn't been too happy with braking over the course of these initial couple of days, as we're on board with Ondracek for the first time in a long time, in the Audi for the first time. That's going to be exciting to see what he can do. P13 at the moment. I dropped off a BT and Mr. Wilco yet to set a time. As a BT there with the worst helmet of the season so far. And I'm struggling to see anyone beating that one actually. As Ondracek then through this double left-hander, very, very tricky on the traction here as he's coming up to Williams behind, who's just experienced, or Williams ahead, sorry, who's experienced that problem with traction. That is Kit. Needs to get that car in order to begin with, just before we can start easing it back in over the next couple of laps, because those tires will be massively overheated after a couple of periods like that. The other cars look like from the off-board. Williams look nice, looks very, very blue. Alpine, very distinct, and the Audi, you can just see the spots of red on the airbox of it. Nice that they've actually painted that red, otherwise it would be very, very hard to identify what it was coming up from ahead actually. That's a decent looking car, but at least on the game, not too much in real life, but looks decent here. The Racing Bulls of Max 97 is just a white Red Bull, but that's what we're used to. And he goes third to the standings, a 1:35.848. That's a very, very good time for Mackers, just behind Squidge and SSR Halo van. Squidge we've not seen so far this session yet. It's on a 1:35.759, but that's on a set of hard tyres. That's very, very good in the 1.6 behind Halo, who you would imagine on push lap on softs. So that's some serious pace there from Squidge. It's about a second too faster than Tess, who might be running a similar kind of program. As we say hello to McLaren for the first time this season as well. 1980s Wildcat, new to the team, new to the car, still in a Mercedes power unit if I'm not mistaken, was at Williams last season out. So a little bit of familiarity, but everything else is new. We're going to go on board with one driver, I'm thinking, quite soon for just a lap or two, see how they manage the battery and everything. Would like to find someone at the start of a medium run perhaps for that information. A for 3 beat is still not for the time in. If he does now, it's not going to be a very competitive time. It's on schedule to be about a 1:45. 1:44.828 goes bottom of the table with that. A beat we're expecting to see an upswing in form from this season potentially. Has looked decent before pre-season testing now. SSR Halo and Tess. P1 and P2 for the Scuderia. Halo about a second quicker than Tess, but on a significantly faster tire. Tess now into 1:35 flat. That is beating out Squidge's time, but on the same compound. And how is the audio balancing as well? These new cars are a bit more noisy. Can I be heard even when I'm on board, or does it just sound a little louder? We're on board with Ray W25 here, going on board with Reina and Ondracek for a little time there as well. Ondracek coming out of that final corner, 100% battery, and that's when you see the overtake start to be used. geometry doesn't really work out because we can't see any throttle or brake inputs. We could just hear the lifting off there before the braking for just that little bit to get that extra bit of recharge. So Van Noah, 48 P9 at the moment, brand new car for him, hoping to finally get that first race win of the season as well. Currently sitting down in P9, or not a season of his NEF1 career. 1:37.4 at the moment, a couple of seconds off that P1 slot. It's not important to finish this session in P1. More important, to get their programs in and get a feel for the cars. We might just see a couple of quick laps at the end of this session. But I don't expect guys like, for example, Tess and Squidge to give away too much. Onboards can drown you out a tad depending on engine. Okay, so we'll have to look at a way to mitigate that potentially. So I'm just gonna play about with that now, actually, just for a brief moment. We're just gonna give it a step down and see what happens. See if it makes a difference. Off-board was good, unfortunately we can't balance them both, and we're going to be more on-board this season, so just how's this for balancing? Should be a little bit different. Very, very different to me, if nothing else. As Noah goes 4th fastest on 1:35.791, as Mr. Wilco is still having problems with the session potentially. Gonna work at solving that before we go back to Great Britain. Mac is then through the final corner, about 30% of battery as he enters, 38 when he comes out, and then immediately that battery drains as soon as you get into deployment. Mac stays 5th fastest. Something's going on for ABT here. He's not getting a couple of good laps in. He's still 1:43.387. It's only improved by about a second. So thank you very much, Matty, for the feedback. So then, both the Williams, P11 and P12 at the moment. Luna sitting there in P10, haven't watched too much of that, has to begin with. Looks gorgeous going down the straights. That straight mode enabled then. We haven't seen the front wing play about too much. Hoping to get a good shot of it. Let's see if we can get a shot of that front wing open here on this next straight. Maybe even opening. So you got the detection line by the SM point, and there you can just see the front wing going away a little bit. That's the straight mode activating. Most drivers, you would imagine, will have that assist enabled throughout this season, so the game does it automatically. It's allowed by the regulation. And it's most realistic as to what the F1 drivers actually do in real life as well. Battery, however, the battery assist is allowed, but I don't think anyone's going to be using it the way it deploys. Not exactly effective, as a couple of people I'm sure have found out just on the first couple of laps when it felt a little bit overwhelming at first. When you get having of it, it's actually quite easy depending on the circuit. A couple of them are significantly harder than others. Australia, one of those where battery saving is very, very hard. As a couple of further issues. Apparently Halo isn't allowed to go onto his hard tires for whatever reason. It might be the reason he started on the softs. But that's a bit odd. That's actually very, very odd. As further yellows coming out of Sector 2, and that is Kit who's had an issue. Or Kit who is having an issue, not having the best go at it at the moment. Luna's coming onto the back straight then. Straight mode enabled, and now we're going to have some really racing action. One of the Aston Martins, that'd be Noah 48, blasting past Luna in straight. Is Luna gonna come back maybe for first overtake of the season properly into the braking zone? Not quite. but it's given us something to spectate for the time being. And this is the way these cars are going to race almost throughout the season. Both cars with overtake available here in practice. Only one of them will have it during the race. The situation is the way it is. Overtake works exactly the way the DRS used to work, by the way. You get it if you're within 1 second of the car ahead at a certain detection point throughout a lap. That is the little blue dot that you can see right before the start-finish straight on the minimap in your bottom right corner. There's a Williams coming up to it just now. There's an Alpine, sorry, coming up to it just now. That is A33 BT, so he's very soon going to pass that detection point. And there he goes past it. I think that might have been that little yellow line on entry as well. So that's the detection point we're going to keep track of during the race. And you would imagine there's going to be a couple of games played with that line throughout the course of this season. As yellow flags ahead, which if I'm not mistaken, and this is going to be a problem in qualifying, would anyone mind just about to happen actually? I think we could see there. Could anyone try creating a yellow flag to see if that disables boost? I think it does, or overtake as it's also known. I think that yellow flag is taking that away if it's in the same sector, and if that's the case, then we're going to have a lot of policing to do in qualifying, because yellow flags are basically all around the circuit when we go qualifying, because people on outlaps going very, very slowly. That'll have to disappear with that system in place, and if you cause a yellow flag, you might be held accountable for it, because it would ruin someone's lap. That's something we're going to have to keep a track of and actually learn how to deal with over the course of this next season. We're going to test that out a couple of times before we get there. Next week out, practice race in Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, not full qualifying. 18-minute qualifying and a 50% race. That's 33 laps around Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, next Monday. No points on offer, just a bit of experience and knowledge for all the drivers involved. Which then coming up to that back straight. With that battery fully charged, almost at 100%, and start deploying down the back straight, see what it's going to be like by the time we get to the end of it. You would imagine it's going to start saving pretty soon. Off the overtake mode at 332 kph, lifting well before the braking zone, and up to 75-80% by the time we get to the exit of the corner. And that's how much the battery fluctuates, and it does even more so when you have overtake available. Just amplifies the recharge a little bit. You can deploy a lot more, you can save a lot more throughout a lap, which gives you the advantage of wearing someone down over a couple of laps even. But overtaking in these cars around some circuits relatively simple, around others very, very hard indeed. Brazil, one of those tracks where it could be hard to overtake potentially. Another one where it could be hard to overtake is Abu Dhabi actually. Could be very, very difficult to overtake, and we'll wait and see. Here comes Ondra check on the back of a Mercedes. That'll be Squidge 2017 by process of elimination, because there's no one to eliminate. 1980s Wildcat in P10, followed by Tiger Octave, who we haven't seen too much of this session so far. He is sitting in 11th place on 137.372. As beat, he must be running the weirdest program in the world potentially. He's still on 141.094. You would imagine that's a full fuel tank if he's actually lapping at a decent pace, or if he's making mistakes every single lap, then he has something to worry about. as here we go, Halo out on circuit once again. Gonna have a look at what the best lap time of everyone is set on. Usually it's a hard tire, apart from Halo, Ray and Luna, who have gone soft, medium, soft respectively. Current tires, a couple of people coming out on mediums, including Darren and Kit, both have been selected. 1980s Wildcat does improve in his best time and goes P8 ahead of Undercheck. And just behind Ray, actually, not by a lot at all. Not too far behind Macus either, who's just selected that set of medium tires. He is out there on his first run. So then it'll be a very, very different style of racing on this game than from what we're used to. Hopefully, though, could be relatively intriguing. How many laps has everyone done this session? Is there a way we can find that out? Can see a couple of track limits violations, no pit stops obviously. Say for example for Halo, he's been out there for, I think we can only see lap times potentially. So about 11 or 12 laps from a test or a squidge day, I would imagine, running about the same program. As Wildcat is going about the speed of a Formula Renault at the moment. That doesn't trigger any yellow flags, interestingly enough. So I wonder if they made the yellow flag sensitivity just that little bit less. Wildcat, it's entirely up to you, but would you mind going about 190 kilometers down this straight? Might be a little bit too late for that now, to be fair. Be interested to see what the limit is to actually get a yellow flag on one along the straights. Safe at 3BT here is deploying a little bit, but once again it's going to be a very, very slow lap. 134, 135 going into the hairpin. At the moment on this pace, it looks like we're going to have one clear back marker this season. That's going to be a 33BT, but that's not legitimate pace, you would imagine. No, he's capable of significantly more, as here's a Cadillac and Ferrari going side by side through the first corner. It's Tess, and could that be Tiger Octave, I think, with maybe the first battle of the season? Is Octave going to come back at him in the braking zone? No. Maybe just trying something coming out of the corner will be intriguing. A little bit of boost brings him further up the road, but not quite close enough to actually maybe just try it around the outside of the first part of the S section. That's a fun little bit of driving from Octave and Tester. This gives us a bit of entertainment in a practice session. We can get a little bit stale, usually reserved for yapping about other things. So if there's anything you want me to discuss, then let me know. But mostly a chance for the drivers to get more acclimatized to the car, still be driving, just get a feel for everything else. As here is both Tess and Tiger Octave, then Tess moving to the outside to maybe just defend his line a little bit there, and does so successfully. Tiger Octave on the exit though, is he going to try something? Just a bit of deployment from the reigning champion there, secures the inside of the next corner. Takes a nice line throughout it. 1:37, 2 seconds slower than his fastest best. Macus was improving on his previous lap. He's up at second place on a 34.866, slower only than Halo. Or faster only than Halo, sorry. Took me a while to realize that one. As Darren Style has popped in a 1:35.505, then there's a very competent time on his other medium tires. It's about 0.6 of a second off Mackers, which is nothing to be ashamed of. As here comes Ray, maybe on Luna, running in very close proximity if nothing else. The straight mode enabled, DRS enabled as well then, pulls to the inside. as it feels like these zoom in on the cars a lot. The replay angle's just a bit tricky from the offboards. That might just be because it's practice. I don't know if it adapts to the situation like that. But Ray just ahead of Luna and going into the first corner. You can see the flashing lights on the wing mirrors now, indicating a bit of recharge as well. As then on board once again with Kit on the sort of medium tires on a 137.389. BT has finally dipped into the 130s on a 139.808. But now he's stationary coming out of the final corner, taking a boost away for everyone. Bad BT. As into the pit lane BT goes then after a rather long but rather slow run as well. That's who we involved with before then. Kit W73. I'm gonna say 41 a couple of times, I'm very sure. Not to use the gamer tag, it changes. Braking at about 120 meters probably, just letting off slightly before. Not too much lifting and coasting, say battery, you don't really need it when you have overtake like that. Just pushing into the final corner. Is Kit gonna be able to improve on his time? 137 turns into 136 and he goes up to P10 ahead of Undercheck, ahead of Luna coming into the pit lane on a worn set of soft tires. Undercheck just coming out instead of medium, so that's going to be very interesting. The one-time NEF1 champion on a slightly more competitive set of tires. As Squidge pops in with the fastest lap of the session so far. It's 1:33.985 on a set of medium tires on the Mercedes. It's a fast lap indeed. Tested on an out lap on a set of medium tires. We'll see if he responds to anything similar. It's about a second quicker than his best attempt on the hards. So it's an interesting session so far, not finding out too many things, but a couple of grid shake-up. Darren's looking strong at the moment on that medium tire. Reina, is that a medium or a soft lap? That's a medium lap, 1:34.7 for Reina. Looks very nice indeed. In that Cadillac, which we might have to get used to seeing then at the front. Not that that's a negative in terms of Reina, just a bit of an eyesore in terms of the car, but it is what it is, and that's just my humble opinion. But Reina then up at a P4, very decent lap indeed. Undercheck is at a good one as well, so 34.697 to go up into third place, just ahead of Reina, but a little bit behind Squidge and Halo at that lap time, on a set of soft tires mind you. As here we are with Tess then in the Ferrari for his first lap on the sort of medium tire. See what he's going to be able to do on that as well. It's got about a 1:33.985 to compete with if he wants to have a go at Squidge's time. It is a good first sector split, 4 times down on his personal best. That's a bit of lifting and coasting going into the braking zone there, just trying to save up battery for the back straight. Going on to it with 80% battery. will bring him about enough power to get to the end of it. Test then, powers down the main straight, a second improvement through the first 2 sectors. Now you can see that battery getting close to 0. Not too much lifting at all, if any there. Pushing it quite hard into the hairpin, and now onto the power once again through the final corner for what has been a relatively harsh push lap on a set of medium tires. He's gonna beat out Squidge by quite a margin as well. 0.5 of a second he improves by, Squidge's time. 1:33.51. Oh, that's a very, very competent time indeed for Tess, who goes P1 the standings then. Puts a bit of pressure perhaps on Squidge. I don't know, obviously it's just practice. It's just testing, nothing's confirmed, nothing's known as of yet. As that's some serious case of lifting and coasting for a Fed3B2. You could just hear the engine start to power down quite early down straight. Is this actually going to be an improvement? Potentially. He's going to miss out by about a second. Back into the 140s for a 33 BT for what might be the most boring testing of the day so far, but I'm sure he's finding something out with that run. There's no reason to be going that slowly. If not. Darren being wheeled back into the pit lane then. Ray having a problem coming out of the hairpin. That has caused the yellow flag, and now I want to have a look at whomever is coming through that. And of course it was another red car. It wasn't the Ferrari, it was the Audi of Ondracek, and I'm going to have to get used to that. Scrolling through cars is just going to be that little bit more difficult now. But got that extra team on the grid. It's going to take that a little bit longer. But I do think that you do lose boost mode when there is a yellow flag, which is something we're going to have to find a way to work around. As Marina powers down the Ferrari-powered Cadillac at the back of the straight then. Noah 48 being chased down by, I believe that's Tiger Octave on his back. Yes, it is, going into the final corner. As Luna P12 at the moment. Haven't seen too much of her this session. Still remaining on that hard tire. Might be an improvement this actually. It is. Up to P11. 36 flat on a what would now be a worn set of hard tires, you would imagine. This is actually a very, very decent lap in this case. It's a new set of hard tires. Never mind. But it's still a decent lap to set on that compounded tire. On board with BT now, chucking it down the inside of a Mercedes, trying to get to the apex, doesn't quite. Mercedes tucks over and under and gets back past, and that'll just bother Adam a little bit, I'm sure. So then runs the final corner, apparently a little bit tricky for grip here, not too bad. The bump that appeared to have been there on F125 on the exit of this corner seems to have been removed, thankfully. But it does feel like I was the only person to ever experience that bug as well, so it might have just been the gods sending me for a little flight. But now the session's calmed down with about 20 minutes to go, and it's following about the timeline that we thought it would. Tess is powering down the Ferrari on the next straight. Yellow flags are there. Someone coming up on his rear, see who that is, and immediately... No, the boost remains active, at least in practice, but it's not overtake anymore, it just goes into boost mode. So you get a reduction of power then under a yellow flag, which is still an issue. It's not as big an issue, but it is an issue nevertheless. One I'm sure many a league is going to have to think about a solution of. So Tess, if you wouldn't mind, just speed up a little bit to the point where you're not causing yellow flags, because you're interrupting the running for everybody else. Let's try to avoid those yellow flags to the best of our ability. And I think Tess was maybe just waiting for a certain potential championship rival who just flew by him. So now we might get some racing. I don't see these two being overly kind to each other. Here we go then, Tess and Squidge for the first time this season. And if I'm wrong about that prediction, it's just awfully bad timing. I certainly hope I'm not wrong about it. Let's have some racing here, shall we? So I'm sure this is a combination we're going to see a couple of times throughout this season. Tess and Squidge then once again for the, would it be the 4th consecutive season, I believe these two are fighting up front with each other. Started in season 9, went on in season 10, 11, and it would be the 12th, yeah. Just keeps going on. But getting by when both cars have overtake, you would imagine it's just a little bit trickier. But there you can see how much you can close in on the braking with a little bit of lifting coasting there from Squidge 2017. Tess closes him down massively on exit. However, now Squidge just has that little bit more battery to play around with, and it's going to be very, very hard for Tess to get by the Mercedes. That's the problem with these cars. It does get mitigated a little bit when both cars do not have overtake. But if you're in the DRS train, this is what the running could be like. There are chances to pass if you feel like it, but you leave yourself vulnerable not having enough battery to defend straight away, maybe straight afterwards. So you'd imagine a little bit of lifting and coasting from Squidge 2017 at the back of this straight. If Tess doesn't, you might be able to get by. Will he leave himself vulnerable on battery to the next, down to the next braking zone? So that's the hassle in racing these cars. You have to be very, very strategic about where you overtake and where you want to overtake. You can overtake at quite a significant amount of corners. Do you want to? Potentially not. It'll just slow you down and slow the race down. As Wildcat is putting a good lap, 1:34.5. Is that medium or soft tires, am I thinking? That is set on a set of soft tires, so to compare, he is 1/10 behind Mackers, who have done the same, and about 4/10 slower than Halo has done the same. He is 3/10 of a second quicker than Darren Style. So now we can get into a couple of comparisons. Say 33 BT then done on that hard tire. Now medium tires going on. See if we're gonna see him finally push into the 137s potentially. That's not too much to ask for. Let's see, we go Van Tess still on the back of Squidge, but he is getting closer and closer and closer on the back of this straight, and surely now he is actually going to go for it down the inside under braking, and I think Squidge just let off that little bit easier there. Tess completing the overtake. Now Squidge maybe trying something on exit, not able to do so, and Tess gets by and almost gets very, very wide. Coming out of the first corner, and now this is going to allow Squidge, and you can see the battery levels there on your screen. Tess with nothing to play with, Squidge with quite a bit, and that is why you do not want to dump your entire battery completing an overtake, because you'll be left with nothing coming into the next couple of corners. And even then, that advantage still maintained here for Squidge, depending on how he deploys now. Yellow flags taking the overtake away from the pair of them. This is the difference, about 85% for Squidge, about 65% for Tess, and that'll make a big difference on those longer straights. Just less than a quarter an hour to go at this session, and Tess leads the charge from Squidge and Halo. Max in fourth on a 34.428. He's completing qualifying lap now, and the qualifying laps are going to be quite interesting. If you can use that phrase, they're not going to be flat out anymore. They're going to be battery saving, going into a lot of corners to be able to use maximum power on the straights. It is the unfortunate side effects of these regulations, which this team was absolutely pivotal in introducing. So thank you very much, Audi, for this. But that's the way qualifying is going to work. You're going to have to battery save it around most corners, and then you want to basically battery dump on the straights. That is where you gain the most time compared to the corners. So we might see a couple of upsets in qualifying. Don't know yet. Depending on who can maintain. Obviously, it's always like this, but the highest average speed throughout a lap. Say for the free BT, 134.126 on a set of medium tires. Hello, BT. Glad to have you in the session so far. It only took you about 45 minutes to get here, but I'm glad you made it. And now we're seeing the potential of that Alpine up to B3. Just beaten up by Wildcat on a qualifying run, 34 flat. Find someone at the beginning of a qualifying lap potentially. I believe Noah might be in the middle of it actually. So gonna go with that Aston Martin for just that little bit. 100% going through the first couple of corners, and then a lot of deployment as you come out on the next straight. A little bit of lifting and coasting going into the final corner, gets a recharge going a bit quicker. Again, extra couple of percent, which is going to be crucial, and then now deploying a little bit further down these next couple of corners. You would imagine then a little bit of lifting coasting maybe through this right-hander. There you can hear it, a lot of D-rating in that car. Straight down about 100 kilometers an hour without touching the brake. Just that engine braking, it's so effective. Don't think I heard any lifting and coasting at all there. And rain up at a P2 at the moment then, 153.910. As onto the back straight with about 40% battery, you want to get up to about 330 and then stop the deployment. At that point it doesn't do too much anymore. No lifting and coasting going into the final corner, even if you can do so without too big of a penalty. Up to 35% battery. You want to finish a lap like this with 0. So through the final corner, gets a couple, and now you drop it to the line. Perfectly judged that from Noah, who goes fastest out of anyone. So that is the way a qualifying lap is going to be done in this season. Thank you very much, my Maltese Minister of Defense, for the demonstration. That is a qualifying lap around the Chinese Grand Prix circuit. A lot of lifting and coasting, not pushing flat out through the corners. That, unfortunately, must be said, is the name of the game. With these regulations, it's just the fastest way to approach a circuit. Any given circuit, basically. That's going to change places like probably Hungary and Singapore. There you'll probably see more flat out running. And if I'm not mistaken, we've also made both those circuits into sprint races this season. I know we made Singapore into a sprint, so we're not going to have qualifying around there. That might have been a little bit of a mess up, but it is what it is. Nothing can be done about it now. We'll take it into consideration for next season. Halo on the sort of medium tires, then he'll be unlikely to improve on that. BT out on the sort of medium tires as well. He's on an out lap. He's been into refuel a little bit potentially. as the Haston of Luna goes a little bit wide, coming round Sector 2, beginning of Sector 3 now. But on a set of hard tires though. How many laps has she done on that set of hard tires now? 8 laps on a set of hards. Let's actually watch the progression of lap times on those. I'm a bit interested in it. So gonna have a couple of laps on that hard. So it's you can see it's just going down a little bit. Probably a bit more battery usage on lap 13 there, as you can see highlighted. Then it's a steady downwards curve by about a tenth per lap potentially on that hard tire. Gives you a bit of an indicator of what tire wear is like. It's not going to be massive on this game with the amount of lifting and coasting that's going to be done in the Grand Prix as well. That's when you're really going to have lifting and coasting going on. As Tess decides he wants to get into the pit lane ahead of Squidge 2017, he does so in the most dangerous manner possible. ABT down in P7 at the moment, then from being third just a little bit ago, as our Halo does improve actually 2/10 of a second, up to a 33.922 on a set of medium tires. That's promising, that's very, very promising for the Ferrari man, and Tess might have at the middle or end stage of the season a little bit of a fight on his hand. We hope to see some infighting then maybe in that Ferrari team, as I'm sure we're gonna have a little bit in other teams as well. Ondrejek and Djokovic, fairly certain, gonna trip over each other a couple of times this season. If it ends up in an incident, probably not too incident prone, but they're gonna find each other on track. I'm very, very certain of that. So if anyone is watching this stream and has any questions for me or talking points, then let me know. We'll have a little bit of discussion meanwhile, as the session is heating up but it's calming down at the same time. So to explain, most people are going to be out on quali laps in about a minute or two, potentially just waiting for those final bits of track evolution, which very much is a pain. And Rain 89 then, on another set of soft tires. Personal best at the moment is 53910. That was set on a set of soft tires. Tess the fastest man on medium tires at the moment. Followed by Halo on mediums, 4 tenths behind, and Squidge about a half a second behind. And Squidge on a set of soft tires then, so this is going to be interesting when he completes the outlap. We'll keep track on him. As Raven goes quickest on 1:33.235, and he's looking good. That Aston Martin team could be a force to reckon with here this season. Very, very hard to create any terms of lineups this year, as we have no clue who's going to be performing well in these cars, but hopefully we're going to have a big and wide type fight. Red Bull comprised of Matty, Adam 98 and iWatt, Ferrari of Tess and Halo, Mercedes of Squidge and Spenclose. Then Ray and Noah make up Aston Martin, along with Ondrejek and Djokovic in Audi, A33 BT and JMR in Alpine. All these drivers that I just mentioned could potentially play quite a big part in the championship battle. And don't count out Reina in there either. Tiger Octave at the moment looking like he's having a bit of a more difficult time at it, but Reina's looking good so far, so could he get in the mix as well? Getting into the top 10 here could potentially be difficult. Tiger Lewis, is there anyone who will get their first race win this season? I'm expecting a race win from Halo at some point, is my guess. Noah will be hoping for one as well. Noah should be the next one who gets his first win in the league. So I'm going to say both Noah and Halo at some point this season is going to nab a win. Whether that'll be a sprint win or a Grand Prix win, I'll leave unsaid. As sprint race victory obviously doesn't count for a victory statistically. I believe both of them are surely capable of getting a Grand Prix win this season. Whether they'll do it has been very, very difficult to tell. Depends on the circuit and qualifying as well. If you end up first at around in Abu Dhabi, then there's a very, very high chance that you're going to stay there. Around the Silverstone in Australia, it'll be slightly more difficult. Then Reina goes quickest out of anyone, 33.1. I'm not going to count out Reina for a win either, that'd be silly. Very, very quick driver, been on the podium a couple of times as well, if I'm not mistaken. Would be weird counting him out. Marcus was very, very close actually last season on a couple of occasions. He was brilliant in the Australian Grand Prix. He was brilliant in the Singapore sprint race as well. So Marcus could be up there challenging for at least a couple of podiums as we completely forgot about Squidge's run. He beats out Reina by a couple of hundredths of a second, so it's very, very close between them. So the qualifying margins might not be massive. That half a tenth of a second is a couple of percentage worth of battery use at some place, and they'll know after the first race, okay, I finished with about 2% to go, I can spend 2 more percent here, and that might just be that little bit of time around one specific place or another. So Reina's looking strong here is what we learned from Squidge's qualifying lap, 33.065. Now the question is, will Tess come out 3 minutes to go, or will he sit in the pit lane and just conceal the pace that he's got on that Ferrari a little bit? As to be fair, with the audio sync, or with the, not audio sync, with the lobby syncing issues that we had at the beginning of the session, I'm actually interested to know how much time is left for the drivers. I've got 3 minutes about left on my clock, but what is it for the drivers? Do they have more potentially? On board here with Darren Style in the Williams. It's currently on 1:34.847. And that lap time is set on a set of soft tires. On checks 34.6, then a set of mediums. It'd be interesting to see what Halo's going to be able to do when he's going full quali mode and set of softs as Tess as well. And speaking of him, I believe he is just coming out of pit lane. So now we're going on Ferrari watch. Tess is a serial sandbagger. So now we're going to see on this qualifying lap if the sandbag's in that Ferrari or if he's going to be going for it. And we'll get a representative lap time. He has a 1:33 flat to beat from Squidge 2017. Doesn't really matter if he does it or not, but it'll be fun to know as Halo across the line goes 33.129 qualifying. Could be very, very tight here if this is the case. So this can now be very, very fun indeed. Where is Mr. A33 beating over this? He's on an outlap. On recheck, going around the first corner as we speak. Done with the right-hander into the left-hander. That is turn 2. Very, very long corners. And just this little bend here coming up. The slight right-hand kink under the Louis Vuitton sign. Turn 3. Braking into turn 4 then. Nice and slow down on the apex of the corner. Whereas Tess is coming up to the line in a little bit of time. Sondra check then looking strong. We'll keep a track of when he does pass that finish line. But here we go then with Tess for will be his last lap this session, you imagine. As battery goes on, just a little bit later after the straight has begun. Saves a little bit of battery, but it's not the place where you want to make or break your lap on the first straight. You wait up until the longest straight to do any type of battery dumping. 100% battery then inside that Ferrari. We are about to have under check across the lines on 1:34.697 at the moment Been on that lap time for an awful long time as well. Was that him coming into the pit lane? No. He's just coming up to finish his lap now. Thundercheck, sick fastest, 1:33.368, so still very, very close at the front. But wait and see what Tess can deliver. At the moment, it doesn't look like him. Doesn't look like he's pushing an awful amount, but then again, you don't have to push too much in these cars for it to be fast. The way you find lap time is optimizing the battery. Luna's come across line, 33.6. Max has come across 1:33.9. Still awaiting a 33B2 who's ahead on the straight, 34.1. It's his personal best at the moment. Has massive lock up there from Tess, and that is going to take this lap out of any type of consideration. BT goes into the pit lane. Tess is not going to be able to improve on this lap, you would imagine then. He doesn't, whether that lockup was intentional or not, we'll only have to speculate. Wildcat finishes up inside the top 10 on 1:34.023, and that is the end of the first practice session here in New Era F1 Esports for F1 26, and Squidge takes the flag by about half a tenth over Emrena and Halo. Ray in P4 then in the end, followed by Noah in 5th. We're going to have a look at the leader then. It's very, very close between the top 5. Underjack in P6, 3 times down on pole position, or on the fastest lap, sorry. Tess rounds it out in P7, not getting a fast lap in. Very, very interesting indeed. So then, there's your final classification. A couple of people not setting improved times on soft tires. That is Kit, A33BT, and Tess. The rest of them quite closely mixed together, especially inside that top 10, separated by about a second from Squidge to Wildcat. That could mean some interesting things for qualifying this season for sure. Now then, we're going to go to a quick break once we get the new lobby set up, so everyone can leave this one. We are about to begin Silverstone free practice under wet conditions as well to begin with, so you don't want to miss out on that one. We'll be back with the second half of free practice in about 10 minutes hopefully, so don't go anywhere. We'll be straight back. As hello we say to a very, very wet Silverstone circuit, as it usually is. The British Grand Prix circuit, it is covered in drops of rain. 16 drivers then with us. Hopefully Iwat and Mr. Wilco able to participate in this session and no further issues. If we do have any issues, then please let me know immediately. So that we can get on it quickly here. I am in the lobby, and this was the issue last time out. So if we do have any issues, then please let me know in the Twitch chat, preferably, as I have an easier time viewing that one. No one out yet, then a minute into the session then. It's already a little bit concerning, but everyone might just be putting on setups then for what is to come. Hopefully we do... Mr. Wilco left the session. Movement down inside the Ferrari garage. Mr. Wilco walking, getting him back. As worth pointing out as well, this game is having issues migrating hosts and getting into online lobbies. That should be fixed by the time we get to the first race on the 22nd. So maybe a good thing that we did postpone the season just a little bit. Here comes Luna then out on track for the first time this session in the Hats. First wet weather running for her. Obviously one of the drivers who is quickest in the rain in New Era F1 Esports. Test out on track as well. The session is set to dry out at the end of it, so we should have some nice clear weather running come the end of the session as well, so no need to worry about the current rain conditions. I'm just going to fix something with my microphone real quick, so the stream might just have a little bit of a weird moment. Do apologize for it in advance. We'll be right back in less than a minute. As there we go, everything has been sorted. We should be back to nice running indeed. Ray W25 out on intermediates then. A couple of people choosing the wet tires. Usually the experienced wet weather drivers go onto the intermediates instead. As the dry line begins to form, which it does very, very quickly, those wet weather tires not overly brilliant. As Max has decided to go for the completely wrong tire, he's gone on a set of hards and maybe not realizing what the track conditions are going to be like. So has Squid 2017. If this was an actual NEF1 session, we'd be able to penalize them for this type of debauchery. Unfortunately, this time we can't, but it is what it is. We're not going to give them any attention for it, and Rain has done the same. That's clearly some sort of coup, you would imagine, properly said by Squidge 2017, who was most upset when we introduced the no wet weather tires on a dry circuit rule back a couple of seasons ago. This is the first time we're having an off-board look at the Red Bull racing car. It looks very, very light blue from the onboard, but it looks from the off-board, but it looks absolutely brilliant from the onboard there, with the helmet of Iwatts in it as well. That's a car that will pop throughout the season. I'm looking forward to seeing what Iwatts can do in these regulations of cars. And once again, as soon as we enable telemetry, we cannot turn it off. For Christ's sake, what is that going on? We've got to fix that. We don't want to have it up all the time during a Grand Prix session. So please sort that out for me, will you? As here Tess is going into Cobb's corner. You can already see that dry line has started to appear. It's not dry, but it's slightly less wet. And already you can see Tess just nip a wheel or two into those slightly wetter bits of the circuit. Maybe just to cool them down. Those intermediate tires will soon be in use, even though the rain is still quite heavily pouring down. Another thing worth of noting in these wet conditions, no battery mode enabled, or no boost mode enabled, sorry, no boost or overtake in wet conditions, and limited straight mode as well. Only a couple of sessions active, 3 out of 4 are active on this circuit in the wet. Luna sets a 145.3, but the battery Battery usage is restricted all the way around the circuit. You cannot use boost or overtake at any point where the track is declared wet. So if you have a look at where that Williams is just passing by, no straight mode on that particular straight. It's the Hamilton straight, if I'm not mistaken. It could be. It's there's a lot of corner names around this circuit, a lot of straight names as well, and I find them all very, very confusing. But you can just see the line here next to Halo on the left. The pink on the line next to the circuit has been darkened out to indicate that there's no straight mode available on this particular part of the track. It's a short bit of straight mode available on the start-finish straight, and also down the Wellington and Hanger straight. I know those two. Even though I might occasionally say Camel Straight, and that is obviously in Belgium, a couple of hundred miles away. So Darren Stylenhoven drifting across line for 1:47.374. So now the wet weather driving in these cars is as pure as it comes. Everyone has identical machinery. They can do nothing different with battery. It's all a matter of driver's skill. However, that could massively affect the racing. I just can't do anything with the battery anymore. Wildcat coming out then, intermediate tires on Squidge, intermediates Kit, intermediates Halo, still out there on the full wet tire. I'm interested in how the intermediate is going to perform when people are starting to set laps on it. Luna's improving on that set of wet tires, that's to be expected from her. Very, very good in wet conditions, that seems to be carrying over. Still no throttle or brake telemetry, unfortunately. Also on board with Ray here. A little bit weird how this telemetry works when you can't turn it off. But anyways, it is what it is. Bit of a weird night of running for those who are not used to this format from previously. This is just to gather experience for the drivers going into the season, just give them a chance at practice together with everyone as well. Just brings together for a little bit of a social time as well. 16 people, I know a lot of them in the same voice chat at the moment, just talking away, maybe exchanging some advice, I don't know. Just, if nothing else, having a good time getting used to this new game together. Bit of a fun thing. The competitive racing starts on the 22nd of June with a half competitive session, you could probably say. Everyone's going to be taking it quite seriously on the 15th of June. That is next Monday. We're going to have a look at the calendar at the end of this session as well as the current standings. This has gone top of the table on a 43.893, but the track conditions at the moment quite drastically improving. You just see the rain lighting up, and we're going to have dry weather running within not too long, you would imagine. So then, straight mode soon being activated, and it's that moment where it's a little bit scary potentially. Or say someone like Noah, who's all over the place coming out of the final corner, still manages to put the fastest lap in, quickly being beaten by BT. But then coming up shaky to the straight mode activation zone. If he's got that assist on, I think he'll activate no matter what. And if that had turned on when it was shaking like that, then he's all the way round. Probably being sent straight to Donington by my estimation. So that's the problem when you have straight mode enabled. It doesn't really give a damn about how much grip you've got when it activates. It just activates just as you go past the activation line. It's your job to just make sure you get there in one piece. A33 BT then, very good last lap out, 43.442. Luna probably stuck out there in the wrong tyre now. Somehow actually beats it on a set of wet tyres. 1.2 seconds worth of improvement, 43.112. A set of wet tyres, that is very impressive. Did use a lot of battery to get there. And now the track conditions very much are improving. This has improved even further on that lap. Less battery. Squidge improves up to a 42.5 and Ray improves to a 42.351, and it's this point where we might be seeing most people starting to set fast laps because the track is improving that rapidly. A little bit of improvement there for Mackers as well. Quicker for Squidge, just missing out on P1 for the time being. The track very much is under intermediate conditions. Darren's Style is going through maggots and Beck's at the moment. We'll have a talk about that particular corner in a bit. We'll do that under dry conditions. Kit, not the best of laps for him. 44.776. A33 BT goes top of the table by well over half a second. 41.765. Sorry, gotta bring my microphone a bit closer. SR Halo and P11 at the moment. Wet tires still on that car. I'm surprised people haven't been into the pit lane to put in the new ones. Luna then goes past the start-finish line, non-improvement, 43.1 still, and those wet tires are soon gonna be burning out. As Ray improves even further, 1 second faster than A33 BT, so the track now is massively ramping up, and that's how quick a track can go from fully wet to quite dry intermediate conditions. Won't be long before we can get those dry tires on and start this session for real with the valuable battery running as well. 1980s Wildcat, still no lap time on the board. Undercheck's coming out of the pit lane in that Audi Revolut. Where's Iwatts in his Red Bull, which we haven't seen too much? Going very slowly down the Wellington Straight. Does Iwatts potentially have some sort of issue is the question, because he's coming up to it very slowly. 8 kph and has been rolling like that for a good period of time now. Stopped on track is Iwatts. He's got to get going. As there we go, that was a cold diesel start if I've ever heard the sound of it. Jesus, that sounded really bad. Speaking about diesels, we'll go on board with one and only diesel in this league. That's Undercheck 51 in the Audi, which actually sounds like a V8 engine. That's usually stuck in the Audi A4s. If you know the sound of it, you'll know. But it sounds quite similar, so creds to Audi for the inspiration for a car that people can actually afford to drive. However, making a Formula 1 car sound like a diesel, maybe not the best idea. However, it does look brilliant even under these conditions. That not quite chrome, it's a satin silver. It does look very nice. I'm sure the sponsors are happy you can actually see them, at least on game. You can't do it in real life, so at least again it's a coverage on the game here. It's Raven, still holds the fastest lap time. If every beat was able to improve. How did race at that time so quickly is the question. BT coming across the line, not improving, so track conditions aren't that much better. Ray has just pulled an outstanding lap out of the hat there with a 140.826. It's a shame then we're not qualifying, because that lap would have probably been enough to put him on pole position. BT is changed his helmet now, I'm noticing. Gon is the all-brown helmet to the... so Gon is the worst helmet of the night, to potentially the second worst helmet of the night. Just a big green blob of absolutely nothing by the look of it. In terms of lid design, what do we like here? I quite like Tiger Octave's design. Can't see much of it, but it's a nice little piece of color in there, which obviously sticks out very, very nice in that car. Is that the visor, actually? It might be the visor, never mind. And rain obviously blending into the car very, very well as well, so it looks quite neutral. Mac has got that Screamer green helmet. I quite like looking at it. Squidge has got a decent lid. Who else? Very, very dark helmet for 1980s Wildcat. Black with grey and maybe an orange stripe on it. Test we've already covered. I don't think Darren's changed his particularly much. I don't think Kyle's changed his either, but he's remained in the same team. Noah has gone for the... well, he's gone for a Swedish tribute helmet, so we do very much thank him for that. Why he's done with Aston Martin and having no affiliation to those colours really, I don't know, but it's a very, very nice colour combination. So we thank Noah for the headlines. SR Halo, same helmet design as I was, if I'm not mistaken. We've done a couple of different things with it. It's a nice helmet from Halo that works well in the Ferrari, to be honest. Kit, 3 shades of blue, same as the Williams, and Mr. Wilco not out on track. Still suffering those issues. We'll give him another invite if he's still online. I wouldn't be if I was him. He isn't. As Mac is fastest man on track at the moment, 140.1. As the rain has now fully stopped, it'll be about 20 minutes worth of this session of rain, but we are soon going to start seeing people out on dry tires. Luna's actually out there, and it looks like there's plenty of grip to go around. So dry tires now going to start being utilized. Noah fastest out of anyone so far, just out of Tess and Ray. Still no battery allowance, I don't think. As Luna cuts the inside of Cop's corner, that's not often you see a line like that. Not sure you're going to gain anything from cutting that particular corner potentially. Going straight over the sausage curb on Margits and Beckett's as well. Very creative lines there from Luna. I don't think necessarily good for tires or good for lap time. SSR Halo now improving by a little bit as the track has basically been declared dry at this point. I think Luna's grip level indicates that quite clearly. And we're now seeing Darren's style on a set of medium tires as well. So we're starting to see the end of the wet weather running this session. We're going to have 40 minutes of dry running, so that's going to streamline everyone's program just a little bit. Do you then go on to a set of hard tires, or do you go straight on the mediums for a bit of a longer run and then end the session on the softs? If you're Luna, you start on the softs. BT, hard tires selected. 6 attempts worth of an improvement through Sector 1. It's not massive. She'll actually have to improve further than that through the first couple of sectors. She wants to beat that provisional P1 time. But this is where the real gains are made. No battery yet, however, as Noah's retired from this session in the pit lane. There we go, race control, normal grip, straight mode and boost mode is resumed. So now the battery is allowed. Luna makes her lap time invalid. We'll still try and catch, see what it would have been. Not a fair comparison though, she would have only had boost for about half a lap. Would have been a 1:36.724 for Luna. So the track not fully dry quite yet, but absolutely in shape for dry weather tires, as we're now seeing everyone out on track having so, apart from Squid 2017, who you would imagine is coming in this lap. SR Halo, do you not get overtake in the wet then? No, you get no battery modes at all, so it's just pure from the standard electrical and combustion engine. Get no additional boost, no additional overtake mode either. It's just pure driving without full straight mode and without any other additional battery responsibilities to worry about. So it's going to make for tough racing in the wet. It's going to be hard to overtake, but those drivers who are able to find grip are going to quite enjoy the way the cars race in the wet, you would reckon. This is going to be a very, very fast lap from down in comparison to anything else. 32.839. Significantly quicker than Luna's 36.8, I believe it was. I might have been wrong about that. But then the track is coming into its own here. Darren, fastest lap so far. Luna at 36.80. As Halo, not apparently impressed by the wet weather regulations there. It is what it is, the way these cars are going to race in the rain. Hopefully we're not going to have rain for too many sessions. It will be interesting the first time we do have it. But the dry weather racing could be a bit more exciting potentially. We'll wait and see how these cars race. No one knows quite yet how they're going to race when everyone has a full setup on and has actually done the practice required. BT fastest lap out of anyone so far, and on a set of hard tires as well. So now the track evolution is ramping up. You can just see those clouds beginning to dissipate here. So now I'd like to have a look at that Red Bull if you wouldn't mind, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. Looks almost a bit too light blue though from the onboards, but it looks very, very nice indeed. It looks like a Red Bull should look, finally, after about a decade with that awful, awful matte livery that they've been going with. 1:30.648 for Iowa, so a very, very decent time to begin with. So Venom Reina, fastest man out on circuit. We're off board with Squidge 2017 and Tess at the moment. Just seeing what they're able to do. And now I believe it's time to talk about something that I'm not looking forward to at all. Unfortunately, that is one of the most exciting set of corners in Formula 1 being turned into dust and ash this game. And it's the corners coming up called Maggots and Beckett's, because watch what Squidge is going to be doing. He's lifting off here, coasting in at 270, staying through 7th gear, then 2 small downshifts down about 50 kilometers an hour on the braking zone into Beckett's. And it's turned a brilliant set of corners, which previously was high commitment, high risk as well, but high reward. And it's turned them into basically nothing. It's the same as 130R. That's always been a very, very easy corner on these games. But it was still, you went in there at high speed. Now, you drop about 70 kph before you go into 130R, and you drop a lot of speed before you go into Mags and Beckets on this game as well. And that is a massive downside with these regulations. They are so incredibly battery reliant, and they start clipping at the worst possible opportunity, because after Mags and Beckets as well, remember, comes a, not a DRS, an overtake straight. Or a straight mode straight, or whatever we're going to call it, an active aero straight. We're going to want to make an overtake. You're going to need battery as well, so we are going to see no pushing through Mags and Beckets throughout this session potentially, and probably not during the race either, which is a real shame. The way this set of regulations take away those iconic classic corners of Formula 1 that are high risk and high reward, where you just have to send it. And Formula 1 are already starting to delete those types of corners, unfortunately. Just look at Spain, for example, with the way they've straightened that circuit out. Same with Australia. They're taking away corners, and now they're taking away the interesting ones by just making them slow, unfortunately. That's something we're going to have to live with throughout this set of regulations, potentially, unless these cars massively improve. But let's just watch the speed tracker here of the McLaren of 1980's Wildcat. 273 going into Maggots, down to 250 by the time we get to Beckett's, and then 190 kph as we come out of it. It's an incredible amount slower than what it used to be, and completely undramatic, quite easy to keep under control. It is a shame. It is a shame. Someone who might benefit of something like this, though. Luna, Iwat, and Jamar with potential for a couple of others, because they're playing on a gamepad, which obviously that set of corners for them have been tricky all league long. Now though, might just be made a bit easier because it's a more forgiving environment. So that could be a natural balancing act for the pad players, and then we're going to have the same thing at a circuit like probably Coat as well, you can imagine, through the S's, which are a bit more pushy. Here we go then with Iwat. You can see outer battery going into Maggots and Beckett's, a little bit quicker than the Wildcat, not significantly. You're just lifting off through Maggots and Beckett's, trying to recharge that battery because you need that extra speed on the straight. Outer battery then is Iwat, and now you can see just reaching over 310 kph there before you start lifting and coasting into this right hand, which also used to be a very, very high commitment corner previously. Now, again, it's been made relatively easy. Say what you will about the type of racing these regulations provide. It's providing a lot of overtakes, which I'm sure at least newer fans will be massively happy with. The older ones might just think it's pointless overtaking for real no reason. We'll wait and see what league racing turns into. Obviously, we had a lot of pointless overtaking with the last set of regulations. With the way the batteries were, it was usually a bit overtaken willy. At least between the front runners. Now we'll see what it becomes. But it is such a shame about these high-speed corners being turned into nothing. As with Darren Stahl then, just going a little wide out of the, into the chicane, and he sets a P9 on a 139.64. Luna's come out in a new set of soft tires. The first soft run wasn't all that successful. Halo has been in the pit lane for quite a significant amount of time. Kid is out there on a set of hard tires as well, so I wonder if anything's happened to Halo's session. He's just staying in there for a little bit of time. Maybe he was so shaken up by the fact that there's no battery play in wet driving. It's just refusing to come out in protest. but it is making braking slightly less dramatic. You can see they're just not pushing as much into braking zones. Undercheck obviously wasn't on a push lap on that previous occasion, but it's just drifting into corners like this, keeping braking a little bit more controlled. It's not going to be quite as spectacular watching this season of NEF1. Hopefully it'll be just as entertaining, if not more, with the style of racing we're going to get. You see now should just start lifting off a little bit. I don't think Noah did. The battery's going to suffer a little bit as a result, but it depends on if he's going for a push lap. Doesn't really matter, because all he needs is a little bit of battery to power him across the line. Straight on the battery coming out of the acceleration point. Got to be careful around the bend. 1% as he goes across the line. 29.759. Bit of an improvement. P3. Was that the Haas of Luna going by, perhaps? Yes, it was. On that set of soft tires, mind you. 131.355, current session best. On that set of soft tires, that's actually remarkably slow. A little bit of battery actually coming out of Cop's corner. Might Luna just try to push into Magnus and Beck's a little bit more? Quite a bit faster than anyone else has tackled it, apart from obviously Beckett. That's a normal braking zone, so that's not weird. Not improving on the personal best of 131.355. Making it very, very easy down the straight. As a BT van, 29 flat, goes fastest out of anyone. Brand new set of tires, keep that in mind. Might not be as impressive as it looks, as here is squidge on the Ferrari, and that explains why they're not improving. Because they're probably stuck doing battling with each other, and we got someone else caught behind, and that is one-time champion in Undercheck. 4 Drivers' Championships on this tiny piece of track then. 2 for Tess, 1 for Undercheck, 1 for Squidge. As here then, might we just get a little send around the outside from Tess? No, not quite. Just tries for it. It's all about the battery. Squidge just able to pull away a little bit. Undercheck might just have a little look down the inside of Tess into the braking zone. Doesn't quite work. We did get a little bit of battling between these two in China. Now we're getting a bit of the same here in Great Britain. Brilliant to see between these two British drivers and a Czech driver as well in behind. So then, just less than half an hour to go here in the session. That, because of the rain, feels like it's flying by for whatever reason. We'll see what pace it keeps up at. As said, any more questions, any more talking points, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to explain them to you as well as I can. Still on board with Undercheck then. Tess might be lining up for a move on Squidge here. Quite easily check the battery levels of the two. You just got what was on your screen just then. As here comes Tess around the outside of Squidge, and that style of overtake will be rather regular in this league, you would imagine. Now Undercheck blasting past Squidge there on entry as well. That's also going to be a regular occurrence. One car losing 1, maybe 2, even 3 positions on a straight just because of the battery and everyone behind with overtake having a significant advantage. Will Undercheck go for it down the inside of Tess? No, not quite. But if the cars are going to race like this, then we might be in for a treat this season, because it's quite spectacular to watch, actually. The way, especially they're able to follow each other now under these regulations. As here comes Undercheck on Tess. Here comes Squidge on Tess. Pulls back in, but Undercheck is over and past. And up into, well, P1 in this little scrap, still remaining P5 in the timetable. I think it's time to go away from that little battle and focus on another driver on his home circuit at the moment, Kit W73. In that Williams having a bit of a rough practice session, had a decent time out in China, a bit tougher here at the moment. However, still on that hard time, we'll explain quite a bit of it. As we're about 2 hours into the stream now with a little left to go. There's been a long event. This is going to be significantly shorter next time out. We're going to start it at a later time as well. It's going to finish at about the same time regardless. 9 p.m. starts, usually in the F1, apart from the 8 p.m. start we had today. So then, Magnus Beckett's with iWatts in the Red Bull. A little bit more spectacular, but still not overly interesting the way these cars are falling out. But we won't talk about that too much more. As here is Undercheck still involved with that battle with Squidge, and Tess has probably lost out a little bit. Imagine going through cops just now and into Magnus Beckett's in a couple of moments. There you go, pulls to the outside, Squidge just pulls a little bit further out to defend. Now though, this becomes the next overtaking point. If Undercheck would have wanted to deploy a little bit there, he could have, and he could have blasted past into the chicane. That would have left him vulnerable though on the start-finish straight. That's the type of things you've got to think about. We'll be releasing a strategy guide as well, or general battery saving management to all drivers in the league. That'll come out before next week on Monday, by the time we actually get racing. So you're going to want to practice that as much as you can, just to get a control of the battery levels. Way one deploy, way one overtake, get a hold of everything like that. Be a very, very strategic type of racing these coming seasons. As here is Halo for the first time in quite a while. I don't think we've seen him since the rain stopped about 20 minutes ago now. So then through Maggots and Beckett's with Halo. Hard tires on. Again, having a good showing on these tires will give us a good indicator what his pace level's like. He's at the moment about as fast as iWatts on a set of mediums. Actually quicker than Tiger Rocket and Darren on soft, but on that hard. That's impressive. Very, very impressive. It's about a second and a half slower than Mr. AFF3 BT on that brand new medium tire. So then a couple of other talking points going into the season. We mentioned the Constructors' Championship battle previously, and all the teams that could be involved in it unless we have an absolute explosion from one of the teams that's predicted to be a little bit further down. Could we have any surprises in the Drivers' Championship? At the moment, A33BT is placing himself in a high point scoring position in most races by his pace, you would imagine. And Reina looking very, very strong inside that Cadillac as well. P4 at the moment. Good last session out, solid. Good this time out as well. One of the biggest positive surprises of practice so far. Ray looking strong in Aston Martin, though we know he doesn't quite fancy at the moment. Hopefully this session's done a little bit to remedy that. Macus in that Racing Bulls. Obviously we haven't seen a comparison through his teammate. Macus might be the driver we're expecting to take some big gains this season. We'll wait and see if Mr. Wilco can replicate that. They can push each other a little bit further forwards. 1980s Wildcat. He suggests have a quiet, nice opening to the season. Couple of points on board by the first couple of races. Try to get inside our top 10 a bit more consistently. By the look of things, he is closing the gap just out a little bit. He's on 130.142 on a set of soft tires now. With Darren Style comfortably behind him and we go through the first corner. So 1980s Wildcat, has he potentially taken a little bit of a step up in these regulations? Where is SSR Halo going to be in that Constructors' Championship battle? I don't think we expect a title charge from him in terms of the drivers quite yet. Maybe a win or two later on this season, but will it be to back up Tess in the Constructors fight? Where will Spenklos be after a couple of seasons out of league racing as well? A couple of interesting talking points then. Luna, very, very good on starts on this game. Keep an eye on that on the opening laps of the first couple of races as well. See how many positions she's able to climb. And where is Kit going to be after a very, very difficult time last season out? Brand new team, new outfit, no pressure at all. Teammates with Darren, both of them just need to keep their head down, get on with it. What's Kit going to be able to do in the Williams? Brand new team, brand new environment. Noah 15th, not set a time since the rain came, or since the rain stopped. Mr. Wilco not being able to get a lap in due to technical issues here. Technical issues that we are praying to be solved by the time we get to the first round of the season, because if we have these issues then, we're in a little bit of trouble. And also, where is this man going to be? A one-time NEF1 champion you can never ever count out. Is he actually going to be able to get involved in this championship fight as well? Looking strong at the moment in that Audi. Let's hope he can just get up there and start fighting again. Preferably, obviously, we spoke about this during the reveal stream, both me and Squidge 2017. We were hosting it. We'd be glad if he never reaches the level he was back in season, it would have been season 7 I believe, when he won the championship. Set the record for most wins in a row. That was 9 Grand Prix wins in a row. No one was able to touch him. He joined halfway through the season, he became champion. That is the most impressive championship of NEF1 history, I'm sure. Ondrzejczyk absolutely dominating when he joined, but we don't ever need a streak quite like that again. I'm very, very happy to see Ondrzejczyk back on top step of the podium. If you could just not do that, it would be brilliant. Ondrzejczyk then, 129.147 on a minor qualifying sim potentially. I'll wait and see then what Squidge and Tess can do. Squidge quite similar to that lap time, but on medium tires. Then the question is, how much do you gain by a set of soft boots? Test's question: if Antonelli wins the title, would it be the most impressive rookie rise in F1? It'd be up there with Lewis Hamilton, probably. The thing is, though, Lewis Hamilton obviously had his practice before in a way that drivers don't really have now. Kimi Antonelli, I mean, obviously he was very, very close to being dropped, I reckon, last season with the amount of mistakes he had. His European stint was absolutely horrible. I don't know how else that's going to be remembered. But his European stint last season was absolutely horrible. Now he's leading the championship by over 60 points, got one hand on the trophy, and is dominating his more experienced teammate, who has been very, very unlucky, but Kimi is just clear at the moment. So, yeah, absolutely. If Antonelli wins the title, it'll be the most impressive rookie rise in Formula 1 history. I think Max is just tainted a little bit by the way he raced. Obviously, still does now when he's under pressure. But especially, I remember a move in Hungary on Raikkonen that got Raikkonen flying, I believe, in 2015, 2016, something like that. 2015, I believe it was. I think Max's early years will always be tainted by that reckless and rash nature. And if Kimi was able to root that out after one season, obviously he made a couple of massive mistakes. Austria comes to mind especially. But if he's able to root that out in, well, a season, and we saw this form at the beginning or at the end of last season as well, if he's able to root that out after a season, then Kimi Antonelli might put himself in the greatest of all time category by the time he's finished. Well on the pace to become the world's, or the youngest ever world champion, isn't he? How old was Sebastian Vettel? 21 years and 300 odd days, something? Antonelli could he still win the championship as a teenager, Antonelli? If anyone actually wants to fact check me on that, then please do, it'll be interesting to know. Reina loses on a lap time because Luna didn't particularly fancy giving him any room around the outside. Fernando will just be a bit frustrated with that push lap. But now Kimi Antonelli, so impressive what he's doing this year. It's absolutely, it's brilliant to watch. Usually when the driver wins 5 races in a row, everyone gets a bit sick of it. I wonder how many races it will take for Kimi Antonelli to kind of lose the support of the fans that he's got at the moment, because everyone's loving what he's doing at the moment, even though he is absolutely destroying the championship battle at the moment. It'll be fun to follow. Here comes Luna across line, 2 seconds slower than her previous best. Darren Styles still inside the top 10, while Wildcat inside the top 10 with iWatts a couple of attempts behind, 3 attempts behind to be exact. Tess in P7 at the moment, Squidge in 5th. Into Maggots and Beckett's for Squidge. You would imagine that a little bit of battery saved to the final straight. Not too much though. That battery around here is going to drain rapidly as well, so that's battery gone. You're going to get up to maximum 310. We get to the braking zone. What kind of a lap time is Squidge going to be able to set around here? Qualifying is going to be hard doing commentary on. Being excited about driver going into corners at these speeds, but is Squidge going to be able to take that P1 spot away from a BT at the moment? Yes, he will, by 0.4 of a second. That's a very, very good lap from Squidge. Doesn't look overly fast, but it is. As well, we're coming up to a straight mode. I want to see the rear wing of this Ferrari because I've never taken note of this yet. No Macarena wing as of yet. Do we have one on the Red Bull? Coming up to straight mode. No, still the standard rear wing opening for both the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Hopefully they implement that in a future patch. That'd be fun. Not the most necessary thing to fix with this game, but just one of those neat little details that'll be fun to have. 10 minutes remaining in this session then for free practice, and Tess has gone faster than Squidge by 5 thousandths of a second. Is ABT going to be able to improve on that lap's question then? Is anyone else going to be able to challenge? Max in P7, Wildcat in 8th, Iwat in 9th, Darren in 10th. Halo, is he just struggling a little bit around this sector perhaps? Or is he holding back? So then through Magnum Beckett, no battery left for Halo, practically 21%, 30%. That is lap abandoned as well, never mind, because of track limits. And this is quickly shaping up to be one of the longest streams we've ever done in VR. Never mind, 130 minutes, we're up to well over 2 hours now then, of practice running. Obviously not all of it in session. There's a couple of intros, a little bit of a break in the middle as well. It's been a long time. My voice is disappearing a little bit, which is why I've started going silent throughout periods. Just sitting here speaking, it does take a strain. Here we go then with Emrena on what is going to be probably the second to last attempt of his session. 7 minutes remaining. So crucial to be able to recover battery through this first sector because you need quite a bit of it on this next straight. What I've found is you start lifting and coasting about here on this straight. You don't use up too much going into Cop's Corner either because you gain more pushing out of Maggots and Becketts. Battery still drains very, very quickly regardless. So then onto the back straight. Decent lap to begin with, not setting the timing boards alight and coming into the pit lane at the end of it. Just giving himself a little more time. Halo though was improving on his last attempt by the look of things. 29.898 pushes Darren out of the top 10. Tiger Octave retired from this session. Luna not having the best session so far. She's improving coming into Maggots and Beckett at least. Let's see what she's doing coming out of it because the sector split coming up. 1.2 seconds. That is set her at about a 129.9 potentially. If she can maintain this rate of improvement. That's about Wildcat territory. Luna's still struggling here around Silverstone to begin with. 29.2, so it's a massive improvement in the second sector. Up to P7, that's a better time. More representative of what we expect from the driver of Luna's caliber. Iwat's now in 12th, Darren in 13th. As Kit, I believe, has made a step up into the top 10 as well, 29.823. And Squidge is on the lap to maybe set the fastest time of the day here in Great Britain as well. 5 minutes to go before it is time to summarize the evening. Just get a couple of final talking points as well before heading into next week. Back in the Beckets then. Not as much battery usage on this time out. A little bit more battery to play around with on this next straight then. You can see it drains by the time you get to the bridge. It's a 0%, but 322 kph this time around. A couple of extra hundredths of a second, or a couple of extra tenths of a second going into that. You call it a final corner. It's not a final corner, but it feels like final corner for whatever reason. This is the final corner then. Boost mode coming out of it, and Squidge goes fast by 0.2 of a second. 128.468. I do believe that extra battery down the hanger straight definitely helped with that. Ray is the next driver on a lap. Then is this competitive lap. No battery used yet, which means he's got a lot deployed, but he's not deploying anything. Would expect this then to just be a calm and collected lap. Yes, it is. Undercheck is just improving by that little bit, and he only needs to improve by that little bit because he beat his 1/10 of a second. Not even that, 900ths of a second ahead of him. So Undercheck then trying to press his overtake mode, realizing, oh shit, I'm out of battery. Then going straight off it. Now though, overtake boost enabled, and across line does improve by 2 thousandths, not nearly enough to go past a fetch-free BT. Remains in 4th. Undercheck then has retired from the session, satisfied with the running. He ends in P5 at best, but a good return from Undercheck for Undercheck, and we'll look forward to seeing him in Spain next week. Here comes some rain now then, plenty of battery to power him all the way down the straight. 334 kph. And if that's an indicator, that straight line speed actually does a lot in terms of lap time. The question is, how much is sacrificed the corners around the lap to get it? Just a little bit too much battery. No, actually that's perfect, but it doesn't improve coming across the line. 29.2, and that you would imagine is the final thing we'll see from Reina this session. Squidge has retired as well. Test now is going to have one last go to break the hold that Squidge has on Silverstone here. So Reina now has retired from this session, and we're starting to see drivers out of it. It'll be very, very interesting to summarize this at the end. Here we go then with Tess round the Cops and into Maggots and Beckett's. Nice through Maggots, going into Beckett's then, down to about 190 kph, I think the lowest as always. Not as much battery though, tops out at 320, not going to be able to power himself up to any more Van Vat, might cost him a little bit of time. Battery coming out of that turn, but the car doesn't reach enough of a straight line speed maybe to start gaining that time back. We'll see. Tess across the line, is he going to be able to beat it? Yes he does, by just over 1/10 of a second actually. Just beats Squid Shot, so a bit of a different approach from Tess, but it works out in the end. I think we're going to get a final lap from a fetch-free BT as well. Luna's already on said lap. Who will be next across the line? Darren Stylewell. Shortly followed by SSR Halo's Invalidator. But that is poor battery managed from Dan. He's going to suffer all the way down this next straight because of it. And if he does stand a race, he'll be massively overtaken. 10% as you start the straight. He's going to top out. Maybe even 300 or something less than that. Tops out at less than 310. And that is where you lose a significant amount of time in these cars. As Darren comes round, it doesn't improve, stays 9th fastest. Now then, A33 BT is on that lap we just discussed. Who's coming up to the end of this as well? I believe is that one of the Williams. It's Kit coming up to the end of his lap. Using up whatever battery he has left. 22 on the apex of the final chicane. And now rounds the final corner. Will he have enough boost to just get across the line a bit quicker? Yes, he does. It doesn't improve by enough to gain any positions though. What is ABT able to do around these final bends? Not a lot. It goes off track, and that is that lap invalidated. We didn't see enough to make a judgment. That is a shame for A33 BT to round off what was a very, very decent day of practice for him. Wildcat is going to be lost across the line here in this practice session. He jumps up to, was that a P8 potentially for Wildcat? 11. P11 for 1980's Wildcat at the end of practice here. It's a decent day for him as well. Closer to the top 10 than he has been before. Just being beat out by Kit there by 1/10 of a second. But that is the end of free practice here. Tess just beat Squidshot by 1/10 of a second. Then, bit of a bigger gap this time out to Ray and BT behind. BT fastest lap on a medium tire, not representative. Could we have seen BT at the same pace of Tess and Squidge? I think we could. Undercheck in 5th, and Rain in 6th, Luna in 7th, Mac is down style, and Kit make up the top 10. A bit of a difficult day of practice for iWatts, struggling in the second session potentially with pace, not able to get into the first one, unfortunately, with the game issues. But then we are just gonna have a quick look at the season calendar before we shut this stream down. So you know what we're dealing with coming into this season. As you can see there, the list of sprint races is on your left. Great Britain starts off the season, on the 22nd of June, followed by Belgium, Barcelona, Australia, and hopefully Madrid, as long as they fix the track limit issues that it currently hosts. First sprint race of the season will be the Belgian Grand Prix Round 2. So, the finishing order of the British Grand Prix will set the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix sprint race. So that'll be one to watch out for. Once again, if you do not feel familiar with the lineups, they are on your screen right now. Red Bull Racing, Matty Adam and iWatts, followed by Wigan and Wildcat in the McLaren. Tess and SSR Halo, both of them looking relatively strong here in practice today. My championship favorites as of a couple of days ago when we did the reveal stream, they are looking good to make a decent championship challenge. Aston Martin looking strong as well overall. Mercedes, we've seen one half of it, we expect the other half quite soon. Audi, Djokovic and Ondercheck. Ondercheck looking like he's straight on it. Djokovic will await and see what kind of pacing he bring out. Alpine, A33, BT and Jamar is hopefully going to be able to join that fight as well. Racing Bulls with Maximus Wilco, Williams with Darren and Kit. Both of them getting towards the top 10 today. We hope to see that continue. Luna's looking decent for Haas. Victor we still wait to see in the Formula 1 car for the first time. Both Tiger Octave and Emreina, especially the latter, looking good here in practice. Tiger Octave just got a little bit of catching up to do, but it's a Cadillac team that is looking strong in their first season in New Era. But that has been it for the beginning of this season. Then it's been a long day of practice to get done. But it has concluded now. And it is Tess on top in the final session of the day. China and Silverstone have been completed. And at the end of the 2 hours, we don't know too much, but we do know that it's the usual suspects that still are going to be there at the front. Maybe challenged by a couple of others. We'll wait and see. Please join us next Monday at 9 p.m. UK when we go racing for the first time in these cars around Barcelona, in Spain for a short qualifying and 33 lap race. It'll be the usual league format that we do, and it'll give us a proper indicator of where everyone is at. Until then, we'll see you in a week's time when NEF1 returns. Thank you very much for sticking with us today. Have a good one. Stay safe. Peace out. We'll be right back with you.